Here we are. We're live now. Oh, all right. Let me start the. Okay, let me start the thing. Here we go.
La 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 la. Do you want to have a spooky paranormal discussion with us? Come join us. Warning, this show is for entertainment purposes only. The views and opinions expressed are theories, folklore, historical, fantastical, and speculation, and not to be taken as pure fact. Viewer discretion is advised. Melanie Lightbeam and the SHamrock Pixie join forces together to bring you paranormal, strange, unusual, scary, spooky, or just overall unbelievable stories and discussions. Viewer discretion is advised. This is an open talk show discussing all things paranormal. We encourage audience participation. So sit back, grab some popcorn, share out to your friends. Together, we can explore the paranormal. Don't forget, subscribe to everyone, hit that like button, share out, or for super chats as a thank you. Have fun and enjoy. Welcome to the show. Enjoy the show.
Hello, everyone. So wait, I'm checking. Are we officially live? It appears. Yep, it appears that we are officially live. I don't know if anybody else is having a problem, but when we started the stream, the first issue was it says volume traffic is high, so there may be issues going live. That was issue number 1. And then issue number 2 is when I kept pressing live, it kept saying, oh, try again in 30 seconds. Try again in 30 seconds. And I'm like, dang it. And then it said to me, it's like, you're recording too much. I'm like, I'm not trying to record. I'm trying to go live.
And then it went live on us.
And then all of a sudden I just pressed it and I'm like, wait a minute, we're live? But that's after trying for what? Like, oh, it's 7:06 now. For 6 minutes, we have been trying to get live. That's
Yep.
how bad it is. So who do we have in the house? We have the Bud Files. Hello, Bud Files. Tommy, the bargain effect, is in the house.
I'm using this phone so I can
Yes.
see chat.
Well, I have to say, Des, you look absolutely comfortable and wonderful outside in the sun. I mean, I would say that, but
Well,
we have this bad storm over
shade.
here.
I'm in the shade.
Pages, Films, and Plastics. Welcome to the show. Long time no see. Yes, we are in the middle. So Texas, in fact, I don't know. It's starting to rumble. We're starting to get rumbles again. Texas has been like the epicenter for some of the worst storms starting out here and then spreading to the rest of the country. And if you really want to get into the whole sea theories that we talk about, it's following the same path as the eclipse. It keeps starting in Texas in that general area and the same exact eclipse path. The weather is going that way and it's causing a string of tornadoes and hail. No joke. There was a couple of days ago in a couple of towns, the hail was 6 inches big.
Yeah.
They were the size of grapefruits that were not even golf balls. They were grapefruits that was falling like boulders going through the cars. That's how bad we've been getting storms here.
That's crazy.
It's weather manipulation. Don't tell me that this is real. It's weather manipulation. That's what I say. Okay, so I have to put the banner. Let me put this. Oh wait, where did my banners go? Where's my disclaimer? I definitely want my disclaimer for today. Because you know something, I have to say this. This show is definitely for entertainment purposes only. Now, I have a feeling that this is going to be one of those topics that people will get very, very adamant and very angry about. Because I will say this, and normally I don't give my point of view. Normally I just give like the different sides, and I normally don't say what my personal opinion is. However, this one show I am actually going to say my personal opinion, which I probably shouldn't. But I believe that the moon landing was a hoax. I really do. I really believe it's a hoax. And I've been talking to people. I've been talking to a lot of people, and I get all these different views. And it's like people are actually angry with me that that's the way I feel. Like, that's the opinion that I came up with. And
Yeah.
I have, like, I mean, I could go on for hours and hours about different evidence I have, and I'm going to bring evidence to questions, and I'm going to throw questions to the audience. Because I said to Des, I'm like, Des, I'm going to set this up as questions, because these are questions that I came up with, that other people have come up with, and the answers that are given sometimes really don't make sense to me. I mean, the official answers are sometimes worse than the fact that than me believing that it's been fake.
Right. Right.
Like, to me, the science is more science fiction than fact. Whereas saying that the moon landing is fake, that might be an easier explanation to things.
I'm not sure how I feel about it. Um, things I've seen, things I've read, and stuff like that. I don't think we landed on the moon when they said we landed on the moon. I think since then we have, but I don't really think that we actually landed on the moon when they said we initially first landed on the moon.
Yes. So that's
That's my personal feeling about it, you know?
Yeah, that's there's some weird things about, and I mean, I'm going to go as far to say that I don't even think we've ever been into space before. Can Melanie even dare say
That
Can I even dare say that?
I do think we've been in space. I just don't think it was when they initially said we were for the first time.
Yeah. So
So
what I'm going to present is, I've got some questions, I've got some slides, I've got some pictures. I did not really go into full detail. I actually made this very, very minimal, because, like I said, we could go on for hours and hours and hours, and I'm not prepared to do a multi-hour show tonight. I'm really not. So I want
I'm
to hear.
going to turn my camera off for a few minutes.
That's fine.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to tell what's going on. Des is not feeling too well, so I'll probably maybe doing most of the talking.
Yeah, I had teeth removed on Tuesday, so it is what it is. So
I'm
if I
shocked.
whistle, if I say something funny, it's because I had teeth removed on Tuesday.
And
So
I'm shocked you're even on, because I really was expecting this show to be canceled today. I really was, because I said, "Are you sure you're up to it?
I
You're sure?"
went back and forth, but it's like if we cancel today, then I would want to cancel until the end of July, and then so no, I mean, it hurts. My jaw hurts. The bottom, what is that? The bottom eye teeth. When they pulled those, that's where it's really hurting.
And I
So
mean, don't. Oh, Pages, that is okay. See, here's the thing, and I love that you said that. Let me put. He said, respectfully, Melanie, I believe we did visit the move. There's too much evidence, and see, that's the thing. There is evidence on both sides. I mean, I will even present evidence to you, and I will even give the contradictory evidence to it. And it's just a matter of, what do you guys strongly believe? Like, what
and
could
and I kind of do agree with them. You know, I do believe that we have visited the moon. I just don't believe that we visited when they first said we did.
yeah?
It's
So
just too many things don't make sense.
And I'm just going to start throwing out, like, concepts and questions and stuff like that. Which, here's a question just right off the bat. Do you know how much NASA's budget is? How much
Probably
money
infinity.
they get? Well, you know something? I'm going to share that with you, because even if you agree or disagree about the moon landing, I just want to show numbers. Like, this is factual numbers. I'm going to present this share screen. It's going to be a little tiny, which I apologize, but I think these are just interesting numbers to share. So, because my question is, where is all this money going to with NASA? So let me just increase this a little bit because I want to go back all the way to 1963. Well, actually, we could go back here. It goes back all the way to 1915, but I want to go back to like the 1960s reason because that's when we landed on the moon. So in 1961, $7,586 million was how much? Now, these numbers that you see are in millions. They're not in thousands, they're in millions. Okay, so $7,586 million back in 1961 was NASA's budget. Do you have any idea how astronomical that number is in today's inflation? Like, think about that.
A lot.
Like, where the hell is all this money going to? Now, as of today, if we go today, well, actually, I don't have today. It goes up to 2000. Hold on, where's the numbers? It goes up to 1979. Hold on. Where's my numbers? Where'd they go? 1980, 88. Here it is. Okay, 2021 was $23,271 million. Okay? That is crazy how much they get today. So one of the things that people question is NASA nothing more than a Ponzi scheme front where they're taking the money, putting it for the good of space exploration, and doing something else with the money? Because I would love for NASA to be audited. NASA doesn't get audited. Their money doesn't get audited. You know what I mean? I would love an accountant to tell me where is all this money going to.
Well, I know somebody, very smart somebody, who helps build the rocket ships that go up into the sky.
Okay.
Up into space. My grandfather, one of his jobs as a iron worker was to set up the stands that the rocket sat on that got shot up into the air or into space. They had to wait 3 days after they built it, or the rocket went up into the sky. They had to wait 3 days for that metal to cool down before they could take it down.
Okay. Because
of how hot it got.
Yeah, see, here's the interesting thing. And I mean, this is where one of those things that people could say, how do you believe in this? My father used to work for Grumman. They were the ones that did the F-14 fighter jets and also started on the Space Station Freedom. And I remember back in the 80s, my father would take me to work when they had the big events and they would show off the new rockets. They would show off the new F-14. I mean, the F-14 Tomcat was the ultimate thing. He loved that. And he helped configure it because he was a configuration analyst and stuff for Grumman. So, I mean, I've had experience, and I even went to the build when they were building the Space Station Freedom that I was able to walk in with a prototype and stuff like that. And I remember this, and I'm like, you know something? So many things questioned because, okay, even if you think about how much space exploration we've done, have we really done a lot of exploration throughout the years since the moon landing? Would you say we did or we didn't? Because from
we did.
You think we did? From my perspective, I don't think we did enough. I mean, I think we should be going up into space because I mean now they're just throwing rockets left and right constantly.
Right, but you also have to remember though, people have to train and get their body to a certain degree in order to be up in space. The body has to be prepped. It has to be conditioned in order to be up in space.
You actually did a segue to one of my questions that I have on this, and this is an interesting question. So basically, yes, when you're going into space at the propulsion that you're going and the speed that you're going, there is going to be a force going against you, and that's a lot of
Mhm.
times they have them in that spinning thing. Which
Yeah.
they end up passing out because they're going through the different Machs, how fast they're going.
Yeah.
And this is not only just astronauts. This is also the Navy. I'm sorry, not the Navy. The Air Force when they're the fighter jets.
Hmm.
So let me pull up because I have a question. All right, and I'm going to give actual facts. So I'm going to give facts along with the question, but let me just get to it first because I got to see where. Okay. All right, hold on. Hold on, hold on. I'm sorry, guys, because we're sort of going out of order, but that's okay.
I'm sorry.
No. I'm glad we're going out of order. Okay. So, see, actually, this is two questions. All right. I'm not going to show the slide because it's mixing in with another thought. But the first question I have is how fast does a rocket launch? Like when a rocket is launching up into space and it goes into space, how fast do you think it's actually going? I mean, without looking up, like what would you say? Just how fast is it going? If
Oh
you had to
boy.
guess. And I mean,
Pretty fast. I mean, I don't know
okay,
how that's all
I'll be honest,
measured.
and you guys can laugh at me. Me, I was thinking, okay, a rocket. I'm thinking of a plane. Maybe a rocket goes, maybe I don't know, like 1,000 miles an hour. Because in my head, I'm thinking of fighter jets. Fighter jets and airplanes, they go like 700-800 miles an hour. And that's I'm talking the military grade, not necessarily airplanes. So they do 700-800 miles an hour. So I'm figuring, okay, maybe 1,000-1,500 miles per hour. But here's the question. Here's one question I have is when you watch them lifting off, going straight up, why do they appear to go so slow in respect to how fast they should be going? Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah. Because I think that's because they have to build up.
which
Um,
which makes sense. They're going against, and you're always going to see it going in a curve. You never see the rockets going straight up. They're always going to be a
but
curve. Hey, Spirit Junkie, welcome to the show.
hello, hello.
So there's always going to be some sort of curve. And as they're going to the curve, I never told you what the number is. I'm going to tell you the number because to me, this is a mind-boggling number.
Real quick, thank you, Spirit Junkie. You said hope or feel better. Thank you.
The rocket must travel at a speed. Now, this is fact. This is not conspiracy theory. A rocket has to go 17,500 miles per hour to achieve low Earth orbit and 25,000 miles per hour to break free from Earth's gravity. Okay, so let me understand this correctly because I'm trying to put my mind on that number. You're trying to tell me that rocket that's launching up, now granted it does have to build up speed and it will get faster and faster, but that rocket as slow as it's moving going up, you're telling me that that's going 25,000 miles per hour?
It could be the trick in your mind. I don't know if I'm saying this right. Like an optical illusion. It is going faster than what we as our eyes can see. Now, because I was born and raised in Florida.
Okay. So so you probably saw a lot of the rocket launches?
So where we lived in Brooksville, which is over by the Gulf of Mexico, it's closer to the Gulf of Mexico. Where our house was, we could go in the field across our house and we could literally watch as they went up. They looked very close, but they definitely were not close to us.
Okay.
But I remember thinking that they were very close to us because when they would go up, especially at night, it was gorgeous at night. And I wish that we had the technology back then that we do now, because I could have gotten some amazing pictures, but all I have them is in my memory. But when we would stand in the field and we would look towards where the rockets would go up, like it looked very much closer to us than it really was.
Mhm.
And so, and it wasn't that they were, we didn't watch them take off from the landing that they were on, or the frame they were on. It was when it looked like it wasn't that high up. But if you think about it, okay, another good example, Vegas. When we went out to Vegas, okay, we were 40 miles from Vegas and it looked very tiny.
Right.
The closer we got to it, the bigger it got. And
which I know that has to be like a perception, a visual perception illusion, like you said, an optical illusion. But
right.
Here's something, and I don't know if I live right next to an Air Force base, Shepherd's Air Force Base, so I'm always looking at the jets. In fact, I crack up laughing because generally speaking, when there's more jet activity, usually within a day or two, something will come up in the news. Like that's how I know something's going to happen, is when the jets start going crazy in the sky. And
well, we live near Fort McCoy. We're not that far from Fort McCoy in Wisconsin. And they literally train in our area. I mean, because we're not that far from there. And let me tell you, when they break the sound barrier here, it shakes everything. It's very loud. And it sounds like something's exploding.
Okay, so now here's a question. Get that image in. Do you actually see the jets, or you only hear them? Like, have you ever seen them going across the sky?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've seen them go across the sky.
Okay,
and they're
perfect.
fast.
That's my question to you. So you have this jet. Now, granted, it's going horizontal as opposed to vertical up.
Mm-hmm.
How fast does a jet go from one side to another as fast as it goes? And you can hear the sound when you can hear that. That jet is only going about 1,500 miles an hour.
But see, the thing is, it's like when they go to break the sound barrier, they're above the clouds when they do it here.
Okay.
Now, I don't know about anywhere else, but they do. So before they do that, they do go around where you can see them. Now, they don't look like they're going very fast. However, because my family's military, and stuff like that, I know they're going very fast.
And see, my perception is the other way around. In my perception, when I'm looking at the jet, about the time they get from one side of the sky to the other side is so fast that I can't even keep up with them with my phone. Like if I'm trying to hone in on.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So from my perspective,
here it's different.
So that's an interesting thing. Okay, so now alone, there's two different perspectives. Because I say when I'm looking at a jet, it's going so fast from one side of the screen to the next that I can't even keep track of it or stay attuned to it because it's just going zoom. And my question is, in comparison, going this way to a rocket going this way up and over, my question is, why does it seem that the rocket is so slow, but yet it's going 10 times faster than what the jet is doing?
It might be because it, going up. Okay, let me see if I can figure out how to explain this. So when something's going up, it does. It looks like it's going slower, even though we know it's not. If it's going across, I guess you see more of the you see more of a plane where it's going across, and you can see the direction that it's going and see how far it's traveled.
Right.
With a rocket, when it goes up, like I was saying, when I was little, we could see it going up, and it didn't look like it was that far up, even though we knew it was. But it didn't look like it was that far up. So I guess up and down, you know, you're not seeing the full distance of how fast it's traveled, where across you can.
Hi, Tammy. Welcome to the show. And Spirit
No,
Junkie, that's
hello.
fine. You can rewind, watch it as fast as you want. When you made that mention, we actually just recently started, so you really didn't miss much.
Now remember when the Challenger blew up?
Yeah.
Okay. We were out in the field and we actually watched that live.
Wow.
As a little kid, I watched that happen. And not on TV. I was standing in the field and we watched it happen with our own eyes. And we didn't know at the time what that was. We thought when it happened, we thought that they had not understanding at the time when we were younger. I thought that they had gone through the ozone layer, and that's why it did what it did. Until, sorry about that, we got somebody riding a motorcycle over here.
No, you're fine. We can hear you.
But until we went in the house and they said that it had exploded, and I think a lot of people that were watching it live, like we were, with our eyes and not through the camera, I don't think anybody really at that time realized what happened until they went to the TV and it said what had happened.
Now, not to knock this down, and I'm just throwing this out there. There's very interesting sea theories in regards to the Challenger. Not that it didn't explode, because it obviously exploded, but the sea theory is that there weren't people inside at the time it exploded. So that all the people actually did survive because they were never actually in. And the theory goes really strange because there's multiple sets of twins. I mean, there was, I forget how many. There was like 8 people, 7 people, however many people there were. There's multiple sets of twins. They all have a missing brother or sister, depending if it was male or female. And it's a very, very interesting story on the before and after people who have the same exact name, look exactly the same alike, and are related to the Challenger. So that's something just to read up on if anybody likes to go down rabbit holes. Sorry.
See, and I would love to believe that they weren't on there when that happened. I would really love to believe that.
I'll send you down that rabbit hole if you want to see the video.
I just don't. I mean, I would love to believe that because that was really horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Even as a kid, seeing that happen, it was challenging, but then it just, I don't know, it would be nice to believe that they weren't on there. But so at the same time,
I should definitely send you that video, because then after watching that video, you're going to be very happy.
Yeah, when we realized what happened, I mean, everybody was like devastated, because one of the people on there, she was a teacher. She was very loved. And
and she's still teaching to this day. If you
I don't know about that.
I'll send you the video. Come on. I'm telling you, you look at the video, you look at and I'm like, the whole thing, they're all alive. They're all alive. Hello, mommy's in the house. I know I'm gonna get in so much trouble after this one. Nobody's gonna be like, Melanie's crazy. But something, like I said, entertainment purposes only. We're going to give you various beliefs, opinions, facts, and stuff like that. I already started off with some questions, because for me, that is a big question, is with as fast as it's going, how are we even getting up to those speeds to begin with? Like, to me, I cannot fathom a rocket ship going 25,000 miles an hour. I'm sorry. I cannot see it with our technology, comparatively how the body responds to a fighter jet that only goes 1,500 miles an hour.
Well, I know that they train for a very long time for their body to be able to process and to deal with that type of force. So, I mean, my grandfather was in the Navy. You know, he was on the ships. He didn't fly the planes, from what I understand, but he was on ships that did have the planes or whatever, and they trained. They trained for a very, very long time, and then they don't allow anybody in those situations until they pass 100%. And they literally, I mean, and they do it for years and
Right.
years and years. They don't, it's not like they do it for 6 months and, oop, you're good to go. You know, it takes many years of training to get your body to get used to that kind of a force, a G force.
So now, couple of questions that I have, because these are legitimate questions, and like I said, I'm going to just throw out questions because to me some of them don't make sense. So now, one of the questions that I have, and NASA gave an answer, and I'll give NASA's answer, is they have Neil Armstrong's bodysuit, the famous suit that he was wearing, the spacesuit, on display in a museum. But I'm going to show you a picture of this because there's an anomaly with the spacesuit that doesn't make sense. And let me pull this up and get a question, and you guys tell me what you think. So the question is, if I can just raise this up a little bit. Okay, I'll do it this way. I can't do it that way. I can't move it over. All right. If you look at the bottom of his shoe right here, which almost looks like a cowboy shoe because it has a heel, it has a flat sole. How did this boot make that image on the moon? And if you look at the moon image, it is a rounded boot image with horizontal lines going through the imprint. Okay, can you guys see what I'm talking about? Or is it hard to say? In other words,
hard to see.
Okay, in other words, let me blow it up a little bit more. Maybe I could get it blown up a bit. Can this move over? See, the problem is I can't get this to move over. Let me do it this way. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to get it so I can show it the best possible way. All right, maybe that'll work a little bit better. Not really. Okay, so on the right side image is the imprint on the moon. And the image of the boot is these horizontal divots within. So it's as if there are like horizontal soles. But if you go to his actual spacesuit and look at the sole, there's absolutely no horizontal divots. It's actually a flat sole with a heel. In fact, even the boot print doesn't even have a heel in the image. So the question is, why are they different? So NASA addressed that question. These says that the original boots that were worn by the astronauts, the original boots worn by the Apollo 11 astronauts were left on the moon because of weight concerns. So they're trying to say that it was an overboot boot that was put on over his boots, and then they left the boots on the moon because they were worried about how much it was going to weigh down the ship. And yet, even with the overboot, there's no image of a heel or anything. So to me, I mean, I'm sorry, that official statement makes no sense to me. Apple Martini, because it never happened. Apple,
okay, hold on. I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So they're saying that the boots had to stay on the moon.
Yeah, this
because
is
of weight concerns.
Yes, I go ahead.
But they didn't have weight concerns when they went to the moon.
Thank you. I knew somebody would point that out.
Yeah. And Tom, okay, you got to come say that so that people can hear. Tommy's over on this one.
Oh, I was just saying that, on the way there, they would have burnt off an abundance of fuel, so they should have dropped significantly with weight from leaving Earth.
And like I said, these are the questions that I'm throwing out are like really genuine questions, and NASA has an answer for every single one of the questions that I have. But then when you look at NASA's answer, I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Like, you're right. Why is it a weight concern if they lost so much fuel, they lost oxygen? Now, okay, they could turn around and say, oh, well, they brought back moon specimens and moon rocks and all that other stuff. Did they?
Okay, but they got rid of a flag that was on the spaceship, they said.
Yeah.
So that's not a weight concern. There's, nothing makes sense. But now
And
I sound like, I feel like I'm talking funny.
And you know something? I would have, it's like, no, you're not talking funny. I'm sorry. I'm like, I would accept the agreement that if they said, oh, he was wearing an overboot and they took it off due to contamination issues, that there was like an oversuit over his regular suit, that I could totally understand. But to me, to say, oh, it's an overboot that he put over his boot and it weighs too heavy, that's why we can't bring it back, that doesn't make sense to me.
Now they're going to use that as an example or an excuse, what you just said.
What I just said.
They'll change it up. They're changing everything else up. Why not that?
And what also doesn't make sense to me is, why is there an overboot to begin with? Where is the overboot going to be attached to? Because if you're looking at the spacesuit right now, it's a completely enclosed spacesuit to begin with. So now you're just taking, like, I don't know, I'll just call it like a boot condom. You're putting a boot condom over the bottom of your shoe. Is that what they're trying to say?
Yup. They had Uggs on. Because if you think about it, have you ever seen the bottom of an Ugg? The
Yes.
boots?
Mm-hmm.
Does that not look like an Ugg boot print?
Possibly. But this is also going back 1964. So remember, this is...
Well, maybe they had Uggs back then, and they just brought them out, and whenever they were released. Because I got it blown up on Tommy's phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that looks like an Ugg boot.
But okay, now that you blow it up, you could clearly see the difference between the image of the one small step for mankind and the boots he's actually wearing, that they're saying, oh, this is the official suit he was wearing.
But if you look at the boot connected to the pants, it looks like the pants are just pushed over the top of the boot.
Right.
It does not look like it's two separate or one full piece. Looks like
that
two
would
separate
cause
pieces.
a space in between. That would cause that it's not an airtight,
right.
Space. Remember, Spirit says, remember, on the way back, losing any weight will contribute to total fuel consumption, effort to conserve fuel, which is very possible. And then here's the other question. And I mean, I don't have the fuel numbers, but I have the oxygen numbers. How were they able to carry as much fuel as they did and as much oxygen? Because they have to carry oxygen for these guys to breathe. And the total trip was, hold on, I have this written down. Uh-oh, I made this too tiny. I can't deal with it now. Hold on, guys. I reset back that up to 100. Okay.
I'll be right back.
All right. That was okay. So it took 4 days, 6 hours, and 45 minutes. And Apollo 10 holds the record for the fastest things. So 4 days, 6 hours, 45 minutes to travel from the Earth to the moon, going at 24,791 miles per hour. How did they have enough room for the volume of the gas and the oxygen that they needed? Would they have enough room for that, to hold it, to contain that stuff? That was the question that I have. I mean, considering also, if you look at the shuttle, not the rocket itself, but the side shuttle that landed on the moon, the little module, how did they have enough oxygen to support the time that they were on the moon? That's a question. Um, that says cheese. So I have a photo. I'm going to show this photo because I think this is a great photo. Now, I think you guys have seen this photo before. Very famous photo. That's actually Buzz Aldrin, not Neil Armstrong. And basically, it's Buzz Aldrin standing on the moon. You could see the back of the moon. You could see his shadows. But what the key moment is there's a lot of reflection in his headpiece. And I can blow up the headpiece and get it to see it. But let's just look at what the anomalies of this photo is to begin with. So the first one I'm saying is light, shadows, and focus just do not make sense in this photo at all. And I would love to interview people who are like a light specialist or camera specialist or something like that, because I would love to hear as to why the light shadows do not make sense in this mood. Because if you notice here, let me get my little pointer. Here's my pointer, guys. So here's his shadow. What that means is the light source is going to be coming from this area right here. And you can see how bright it is over here. So this corner upper right-hand side is where the sun is going to be. So now the first question I have is, if that's the case, then why is there all black shadows back here? If the sun is supposed to be all the way up here in the corner, it's casting its shadow down in order for it to get his shadow going this way, why isn't this stuff behind him illuminated?
So yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Okay. The next says the reflection of the horizon on both the front. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me just go back to the shadows. So I was mentioning that. So why is it all black here? The shadows are going this way. Then start looking at the tiny rocks, like the rocks here, and look at where the shadows are going. So this doesn't make sense. So like this rock right here, the shadow is obviously in front of it. Same with this one. The shadow is in front of it, which makes sense if the light source is coming from this upper corner. However, look back here. Why are the shadows now going towards the upper left side? Like the shadows are on the opposite side of the rock. You see that? Which means that there's another light source coming from down here. So in order to get images of shadows coming this way, there should be a light source on this bottom right half side. And that's not making sense either.
Okay, just I got an idea.
Okay, no, spill it out. I would love to hear it. And if anybody...
Okay, so, I mean, we know that the sun is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And maybe there was something in the way that caused the shadows to kind of get reflected this way or reflected that way. But I know there's a lot of YouTubers out there, especially YouTubers who go live, and even resellers, think about it too, with resellers too. If you take a picture and you set your lights up a certain way, you will have shadows.
Correct.
If you the more lights you have in every angle, you're not going to have shadows.
Right.
So for these shadows, now Tommy was like, has she talked about the shadows yet? And I said, no, not yet. And he just left. So I don't know what that was about, why he was so interested in the shadow thing. But
and this is just one photograph.
I love what Apple Teeny says. They need a better ring light.
But I love what Spirit Chunk. See, I had to highlight this. All of your questions are above my second semester of physics pay grade. I was actually, I shouldn't even say this, but I was told that my curiosity and my interest in this, that I need to go back to third grade and learn third grade science.
Yeah, you know what I say to that?
But okay, so but like I said, these are questions. If somebody has a legitimate answer, I would love to be on your side. I want you to get me back on the right side that this is real. It's just I'm looking at it and I'm like, some stuff does make sense. Okay, photographer uses reflectors for life too. Diffusers. Okay, yep. but this remember is Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong, two guys just hopping on the moon for the very first time. There is no lighting crew, there is no camera, there are no diffusers, and it's literally he's taking a photograph of his friend, his buddy, who's hopping around.
And did they crop this picture? Because wouldn't, even cameras back then, wouldn't there be a bigger area?
Possibly. Now, here's the interesting thing. Now I'm going to try to, I'll go through the questions and then I'm going to try to zoom it in so we can see it bigger. Because the next question I have is the reflection on the horizon is both behind and in front, which that does make sense. I tested it out myself because what I decided to do is like, I got in my car and Texas is nice and flat. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to look in front of me. I see the horizon line. Now I'm going to look in the mirror behind me and I want to see the horizon line. And the truth is you can see a horizon line. Okay. So just get that off that is a fact. You could see a horizon line in front of you and behind you. However, this particular horizon line does not make sense. And I'll blow up the picture later to show you in just a minute. So that's question number 2 I have is about the horizon. We talked a little bit about the oxygen tank, and Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong actually spent 21 hours on the moon's surface. That means their little tiny module that they escaped from the main shuttle to land on the moon, because remember, it detached and landed on the moon, had enough oxygen for the 2 guys, plus the shuttle, plus them to go around and hop on the moon. What doesn't make sense to me is think about scuba divers when they have oxygen when they go underneath the water.
Yeah, and then if they come up too fast, then the compression really messes up. It's what is it called when a swimmer comes up too fast from
the bends?
The bends. Yep.
But here's what I don't understand is, yes, they have a backpack on there, and it's actually relatively a small backpack if you look at it. I mean, it is a, but scuba divers have a bigger tank, and sometimes they have 2 tanks, and that'll only last for about what, an hour, 2 hours worth of air.
I'm not even sure. Scuba diving is not in my bucket list.
It's not really a long time of air. You can't go scuba diving for hours on end. So how are these guys with nothing more than a small backpack have enough oxygen in their spacesuits to last them so long on the moon?
My question is I don't see them anchored to anything.
Oh, actually, you know something? I didn't even think about that. Yeah, you're right. Buzz right now is not tethered to anything. He's literally hopping on out there. And I mean, you've seen when the moon landing, they hop like, they'll be like, woo, like one of these things. Which also looks exactly the same way if you were underwater and you took out all the water and just kept a person. It's the exact same movements if you were underwater. So that's something to think on. Okay, wait a minute. Spirit Junkie's saying a bunch of things. Let's see. Okay, come on, Des. You're highly critical of education. Go back to I think she means to me, go back to 3rd grade, right? I have to go back for the 60s.
Yeah, but 3rd grade, you wouldn't learn that nowadays.
Okay, great.
Our school system wouldn't be teaching any of this stuff.
Yeah, Spirit, you hit it on the nail. For the 60s, the clarity of these photos is amazing. And like I said, this is NASA's official photo. This is not a Photoshop. This is not an AI photo. This is what was officially Buzz Aldrin's photo. And I just grabbed the one photo. I could have grabbed a whole bunch of photos.
And the thing is that photo is better than the cameras that we have now. Correct. On our phones that are really good.
Yeah. To answer who taking this, supposedly Neil Armstrong is the one taking this photo. Supposedly.
And how was he pushing the button for the taking of the picture? How is he pulling that thing back to wind the film?
Yeah.
Not with those big old gloves on, you couldn't.
I believe some freaky smart people could have figured the math stuff out, but the photos didn't make sense from our experience like chat. Possibly. I mean, that's why I said, and that's why I want people to prove me wrong. I really do. I want people to say, okay, Melanie, you're looking at this the wrong way. This is the reason why. Now, somebody gave me an answer, which is a very interesting answer. that the moon is nothing more than a giant reflector. That's why we see the moon from the light, because it reflects as the sun. It's as if it's a giant mirror. I says, okay, so you're telling me he's standing on a mirror that's reflecting nothing but light. If that's the case, then wouldn't there be no shadows? Because the shadows would be going up as opposed to down. Where am I? Oh, somebody's already yelling.
Tell him we don't want to hear it.
Hey, why don't you join in the chat and you can...
Okay, so
he's listening. Join in the chat. Give your opinion.
Oh boy.
Okay, but the
did you see Spirit Junkie's comment though? She said supposedly those boots were heavy, very heavy. When we're talking about why he's not tied off to something, but the thing is they ain't that heavy because he can lift his legs. But they're not heavy enough to keep him down on the ground.
And even the videos, when you look at the videos, they're constantly almost floating. Like there's like even the little bit of movement, they're already off the ground. It takes several life sources to explain. I call bullshit on all the photos.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay, well that's now, like I said, another thing is that because it's a reflector, you are going to have different angles of light sources, because the moon is not flat. It has hills, it has mountains, it has craters, and that's where you're going to get the different shadow ends. That's another explanation.
Right, and it makes sense, but these photos do not make sense, because how can you have a shadow going this way and a shadow going that way and a shadow going this way and that way in all different directions? It doesn't make sense to me either.
Remember, he did 7 billion squats to train for the spacewalk. Squats.
Then his thighs should be a heck of a lot bigger than they are. Okay. Just saying.
So I mentioned this. Why is the moon's atmosphere black? Particularly if we are on the light side of the moon, because remember, back then, this was when they were on the side of the moon of the sun, like this, where the sun.
And I don't see no stars.
Yes, we don't see any stars. Now, okay, here's an interesting thing, and I'm gonna prove and disprove this at the same time. So if I'm standing on the horizon, and it's nighttime, and somebody takes a picture of me going this way, in the back of me, technically, you're not going to see stars. Technically, you'll see the horizon, you'll see the sky, but you won't see any stars, because the stars are up there as opposed to out there. So I will defend that thing, but
I don't see no planets either.
I feel like, okay, this is going to sound crazy and you guys can laugh at me. I feel like they're trying to say that the moon is a big round ball with like no atmosphere. Because even if, like, okay, just say that the moon was Earth and you're standing on the moon, you would have all this atmosphere around you. Okay. And that's why, like, the Earth's sky is different. Like, it has the clouds, it has, you know what I mean? I'm expecting to see something like that on the moon. We're not seeing that at all. Does that make sense? Or did I lose everybody saying that? Good point about stars. Well, that's one of the things they say. They said because of the light pollution, because remember, this is the side of the sun, you're not going to see the stars. But
well, maybe that bright light is the light from the spaceship shining that way, and that's why we can't see nothing around it.
Okay, Spirit Junkie said, yes, I was taught with no atmosphere on the moon. So,
yeah.
Okay, there's no atmosphere. Now, also look at this photo for a second. He's standing on dust, dirt. Why do we not see any dusty movements, any particles in the air, particularly since these guys just landed in a high-powered rocket that they had to land on the moon?
Because it's super glued to the moon.
Oh, all the dust and dirt is super glued. Because I would expect to see similar. I mean, okay, for the first time, I've actually saw a dust devil. I never saw a dust devil before. We were traveling, and I'm literally looking out in the field, and I'm seeing the twirl.
Oh, the dust tornadoes.
Yes, yeah, they call them dust devils here. I've never seen that before. So to see this dust tornado and out in the distance, when farmland is that dry, and think about it, the moon, there's no water, there's no with it that dry, how come there's no dust all over the place?
Yeah, I don't understand that either. Now we get dust tornadoes in between my house and the neighbor's house because we have sand.
They landed on a happy little blanket. Okay, remember,
I want that blanket.
Earth currently has 22. We're mostly nitrogen. Okay, Spirit, I just want to, that comment that you made, what is that in reference to? Like, what is that? What would that mean by having that we're mostly nitrogen? Is it? I'm trying to get what the difference is, I guess, between. Like, I know you're giving me a fact, but I'm not too sure where that fact fits in, if that makes sense. Just so I understand it. I'm sorry.
I know we breathe in oxygen and release carbon dioxide, and the plants, they take the carbon dioxide in and produce oxygen.
Oh yeah, they needed tanks to provide that, absolutely, and overcome the differences in pressure. You bring up a good point about pressure too. I want to talk about that because this is very scientific as well. Their little shuttle that landed. If you look at it, it literally looks like something made out of aluminum foil. I want to know, how did that thing survive the pressure differentiation and not shrivel up into nothing? Because it looks like you can literally poke your finger through it. My comment referred to the fact that the atmosphere up there is probably completely different than we experience on Earth. Okay, we are protected by the ozone layer and such, which, you know something, yeah. Spirit, that probably is the case. And that would explain. And I'm curious, does the atmosphere's differences, is that why there's no dust? Is that why there's no, what's the word? There's difference in light. I mean, without atmosphere, does light have a difference as well?
Could the moon have an ozone layer that we don't realize?
Possibly. Oh, okay. Maybe. Now I'm going to try, because my next question is, why are there no dust disruption? And why is there a shadow taking a picture and not a person? Now, let me see if I can expand this really nice and big for you guys. Here, I'm going to copy. I'm just going to put this on another, add a page. This way I could blow it up. Okay. Because I want to see strictly the reflection. When you see the reflection of the things that I'm seeing, you're going to be like, what the hell? Okay. So I'm going to try to make this nice and big. And hopefully I hear birdies. Tweet, 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 tweet. Okay, here we go. Sorry, guys. That's me manipulating. Can we see that, or is it still too tiny?
No, it's pretty big.
Here, I'm going to do this. Make that a little bigger. Yeah. Okay, so now the first question I have is, I only have 2 semesters of physics, but a lot of physics questions we bring up are actually covered, explainable. And you know something, Spirit? Many of these questions are probably explainable. I try to Google the information, and I'm having problems finding my answers. So, and then the answers I do find, I have trouble accepting those. Not accepting, but they don't make sense to me. So my first question with this lovely picture is, okay, so right here, if we look carefully, is a shadowy figure of a man taking in the picture, which makes total sense, because basically what that means is you have a guy right in front of you taking a picture. But what doesn't make sense is, why is the shadowy figure facing the shadow going in that direction? Because if we remember from what we were talking about, the shadow originally, the sun was coming from the upper right side. In order for a shadow in the reflection to show this, that would mean the light source is behind him with the shadow going towards him. Understand?
No, I blew up the picture on Tommy's phone because he's got an iPhone, and there's a feature where you can, enlarge it while somebody's live. Right. And it looks like, okay, so you got the guy, the shadow, where you were just pointing, right? Correct. But next to it, it looks like a girl in a black prom dress with flowers.
What?
Yeah, it does. If you're able to blow it up, according to what I'm seeing on Tommy's phone, it looks like there is a girl wearing a black prom dress holding flowers in her left hand.
Okay, quick question. So we've got the space thing.
Yeah, that thing.
That thing? That looks like a girl in a prom dress? No, that's the space module capsule.
I understand that, but when you blow it up,
okay.
Like I did on Tommy's phone, it looks like a girl in a black prom dress holding flowers.
I'm going to see if I can get this bigger. I don't see it. But I'm trying to raise it. But but that alone, that shadow doesn't make sense. But you see that as well? Okay, so something, I don't see it.
Babe, come here.
No.
Please.
he's like, no.
No, that was Doug. Okay,
that was Doug.
Does that not look like a girl in a black prom dress holding flowers?
Where?
Right here. Black dress, hair, flowers, a face. Does that not
look like a sheep on the side of a grass hill?
Okay, so I don't see the problem, girl, either. Maybe it's something.
Well, this is off the live. I just went like this, and that's what it looks like to me. And somebody else in the chat also sees that.
I don't see a girl.
I don't see a girl either. Okay,
but then
now
there's her face. Yeah.
Okay. Whoops, that's not what I'm looking for. Where'd I go? Sorry, guys. There we go. Okay, so now...
Okay, see, I'm not losing my mind completely. Thank you, Apple TV.
So here's a funny thing. There's another phenomenon that has nothing to do with the moon landing, but I'm just bringing this up because this is a perfect example. There's a phenomenon going around where people are seeing something and other people are looking at the exact same thing and they can't see it. One of it being the aurora borealis that just happened. So now, if anybody was paying attention on March 11th and 12th or something, for 2 days, you were able to go outside and look at the aurora borealis, the northern lights. You should have had a perfect view of them. Were you able to see them, or was it too cloudy by you?
So for us, where we are, we have a lot of light pollution. So when I went outside to look, like during the day or when the sun was going down, it got really like a pink orange color. Like it was an unusual color. I say pink or orange because I am shade colorblind, but I know it was a color that it normally is not. And I didn't even think to go outside and look and see what was going on. I just thought, okay, well, the sun's being a dork again. Because we've been going back and forth with, cloudy weather and stuff like that here, and then sunshine. And so I didn't even think about it. But
I'm just tossing it out there. If anybody did see it themselves or not, because we actually saw it all the way down here in Texas. That's how strange the fact that you were able to see the northern lights.
All we saw were
it's highly unusual.
White lines in the sky. We didn't go like near the lake or anything like that. But people around here went to the lake and were able to take some really awesome pictures of it. But in town where we are, we didn't really see anything.
Now, here's the interesting thing. This is just an interesting thing and I'm going to say this, and not the aurora borealis itself, because there's so much controversy around that and what those lights were. But people literally went outside, looked up at the sky, and you can literally be next to each other. And some people will be like, yeah, it's right there. And the other people are like, there's nothing there. And there's strange videos, and you could see it in photos. There's plenty of photographs, not talking about photographs. That's why I want to know how many people actually saw them with their eyes, because me, I couldn't see them. Although they're telling me I was supposed to see it from where we were. I know other people who said they saw them, and I have other people who's like, I was in a group of people and I couldn't see it. So there's a very interesting frequency phenomenon about the lights. So I'm just curious, being that some people are looking at this and see a woman with a dress, and I'm like, I don't see anything. It's just, I don't know. I did a stupid segue, but what do we got? I saw those posts about people seeing it in Texas, but I also think I live in the city with a lot of light pollution, and in particular, my neighborhood had lights on at night, so I couldn't see. And I have when I was young seen the northern lights in the upper part of Michigan, upper peninsula. Okay, so yeah, I mean, Michigan, you're north enough that you can see it. It's very strange that the northern lights happen so far south. I mean, literally the whole country could literally see the northern lights, and that's very unusual.
And I know that, like, the Friday night when they were, like, everybody could see them, even way down by you, you know, they were like, yeah, you can see it, you can see it. So if you missed it last night, like Saturday morning, they're like, if you missed it last night, watch it, you know, it'll be back tonight. And then, like, halfway through the day, there was a news thing that was released. If you can't see it with your naked eye, use your phone camera lens. Mm-hmm. And you should be able to see it that way.
They were doing massive testing on frequencies. Harp even sent out crazy bulletin boards to all the radio stations about their testing those days. No, but anyway, the point that I was trying to make is we're all looking at the same image. I don't see what you guys are seeing. Now, I'm not saying that you guys are wrong, I'm right, or this or that. I just find it amazing how something so simple as this, because I'm staring at it, I'm like, I do not see it at all. So I just find that amazing. I'm sorry.
Well, maybe it's an alien in a prom dress with flowers. Because that are, you know, like my I believe it was Apple Martini even said the arm looks longer, so maybe it was an alien welcoming them.
Now, here's another interesting thing about this. Could be. Here's an interesting thing about this photograph. Now, remember I said you see the horizon line. Let me get back to this. You see the horizon line in the back. So there's your horizon line. And then in the reflection, you see the horizon line. Okay? Now, let's just analyze this, because a couple of things make this fascinating. Look how perfectly straight the background goes, straight from here, straight, perfectly straight. And if you look at this carefully, this actually also looks like a curvature. I mean, it's straight, but you see how it's sloping downward as if the moon is curving? So that's,
I think the moon would be bigger than what they're showing on there. It doesn't look like it's very big according to that picture.
Correct. And that's one of the points I wanted to make, because like I said, when I was talking about being in Texas, where I could look at the horizon straight and then have a mirror and then see the horizon behind me in the mirror, spatial wise, this does not make sense. So let's just talk about over his shoulder. So from the point he's standing to the point of the horizon line is X amount of feet or miles or whatever, whatever you want to call it. There's a certain distance between where he's standing to this point right here. At the same note, that would be the other way around. So from where he's standing, going from the image, that would be the opposite side of the horizon in front of him. Because remember, this is a mirror. To me, this does not make sense how much difference there is between the end of this horizon to where he's standing compared to this horizon to where he's standing.
Well, maybe. I don't know.
I know it doesn't make sense, does it?
I don't know. I'm so confused.
I'm making everybody confused. Do you get any comments? So wait a minute, we got some. Okay. In Texas, you have lots of pollution particles because of oil and gas. I can imagine that people saw in the north. Yeah, they did. People reported. I mean, there's pictures straight from Dallas, and they're actually absolutely gorgeous. Like the people who have like the really expensive cameras and stuff like that, they were able to see the northern lights. Good for them.
They were able to see them. I guess they were able to see the northern lights as far down as the Florida Keys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's...
And that's extremely strange.
Mhm.
That should not. And dare I say this, that sort of doesn't make sense on the globe model that you could see the northern lights going that far south. That would
But
make sense on a flat Earth
they were
model.
saying that it was an extremely, extremely huge solar storm going on Friday, this past weekend.
Right.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Because you're supposed to be able to see them Sunday too, if you didn't have clouds. Like if you didn't have a cloudy night. We unfortunately had a cloudy night on Sunday. So.
Yeah. So.
I think I just whistled and I apologize.
Oh, no, you're fine. So basically, this one picture alone, and there's other anomalies that I could point out, but this one picture alone, there's so much confusion about this picture. I could go through picture after picture. We could point out each and every one of them.
Do you have a picture of the flag?
Oh, the one, I don't have a picture, but I could get it real quick. All right, so flag on the moon landing would be I want the NASA one. I want to make sure this is NASA's. I want the official photo. I don't want no Photoshop ones. Okay, let me just get the official photo. Okay, I'm getting it. Da 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 da. All right. You just want the... That's Alan Shepard, David Scott, Apollo 11. Here we go. That's the one I want. Okay. All right. Let me put it on my screen. Sorry, guys. And... paste. Okay. There we go. So that is good old astronaut with a flag. What is wrong with that flag?
It's waving.
Hi, Susanna. How are you? Yes. How is a flag waving in... Well, actually, I'm not even going to say this. Like the whole idea. I could see the waving part because if you think about it, with every movement that they're doing in their suit, the gravity portion is going to make them like float. But
right,
that happens in water too.
Okay, so his shadow is behind him, but the flag shadow is in front. Or the shadows don't line up.
Oh yeah, we know that. This is another photo. I mean, like I said, I could point out every single photo from the landing, and there's something wrong with the shadows. Okay, here we go. If the light was on his right side, wouldn't the front of his yeah, exactly. Okay, that's another thing she pointed out. That's right. Because the shadow is pointing to him, if the light source is behind him, there should be a reflection of the light directly in his helmet. There wasn't. Good point. We didn't even bring that one up. So that's an excellent. And see, that's one of the things I love having like an open forum like this, that other people could point out things and say, hey, what about that? What about that? And each and every one just doesn't make sense.
I'm sticking to my story of the prom alien girl with flowers welcoming to the moon.
I don't see... The flag has no... That's right. The flag has no shadow in this. You can't even see it. I mean, unless we're looking at the shadow going towards the left, but it's only the pole. You can't see the flag itself.
Yeah, which makes no sense.
Yes.
I mean, on Earth it makes sense, but not on the moon.
Apple, you talking about me? You sent me a pic in, or sent somebody else a pic? I'll check my email real quick. I don't know if that was in reference to me or somebody else. Yeah, I don't have anything. Do I have anything? No, I don't have anything. Oh no, I do. Hold on. I had to look at my junk mail. Okay, she's showing me the prom dress on the moon. I gotta see this. Okay, come on. Prom dress on the moon. Okay, the arm, the head, the dress. Oh, holy cow! Now now I see it. Oh my god! It look. You know what? I hate to say this. It looks like a dead girl in a prom dress. Like to me.
See?
Okay. You know what that looks like to me? Now, thank you, Apple. Thank you so much because I didn't see it. It literally looks like she's sitting down in a chair. She like the flowers are like wilting away. They're yellow flowers dying on her.
Mm-hmm.
She looks totally, and her head is like down. She looks like she was like pew-pewed in a chair.
See, I wasn't losing my mind.
You're not losing your mind. I do know how I didn't see that. Okay, here, let me get this in my email.
Thank you, Apple.
Apple, thank you so much.
Welcome to the dark side.
I'm like, I did not see that at all. Okay, guys, let me how am I gonna save this? Why can't I save this? All right, hold on. Capture area. Let's get a picture of this. I'm going to try to get this so you can see it. I cannot believe I did not see this to begin with, okay?
Tommy didn't see it either, and I was trying to show him, and he was like, I don't see it either.
I hope you can see this, but she made it, all right. All right. It's hard to tell, but where's my stream? Okay, so here we go. Let's see if we got this. So the head is this portion right here. And she looks like she's like doubled over. Her arm is right here, and it looks like it's carrying some sort of flowers or something like that. Her dress, it's like she's sitting down, and her dress is, and here's her other arm, and she just looks like she's all sad and stuff. Does that make sense, or is like, nope, we lost that? Apple, I really appreciate this. Thank you, because I had no idea what you guys were talking about. Now I see it. But to me, it looks like some. And Des, you are muted. I don't know if you realize you're muted, but that's okay. If you are muted, you might have said you were going away for a minute. But thank you. I appreciate that. That's creepy as hell.
I told you I was seeing a girl in a prom dress with flowers.
Yes. All right.
Apple was the only one that believed me.
Yes, I'm trying to see it now. Back to the original. Here's the original. Okay, yeah, now I see it. The head, there's the flowers, the arm. There's her dress going, black dress, which the bottom of the dress is like right over here. Maybe that's her shoe sticking out or something. Wow. And her head is just like right here. It's like hunched over like she's dead or something. I don't know. That is so creepy.
People see what they want to see. Right, Spirit?
But that's what I said. I'm wondering with the whole Aurora Borealis thing that I was talking about, is it that certain people can only see it and other people cannot? So that was just a question. I will just tell you this. There was weird stuff going on, weird stuff with the sun, weird stuff going on with the weather. It's been crazy ever since the eclipse. But we mentioned the eclipse. We even had a follow-up show. And the more and more that's happening since the eclipse, it's getting totally creepy. So
Apple says she's drunk at prom.
She's drunk at prom. All right. What else do I have on my fun little let me go back to my beginning. Okay, so here's a little fun thing. Okay. Well, oh shoot. Sorry, guys. All right, so moonlight. If we landed on the light side of the moon, why is it so dark and not illuminating? So in other words, we're looking at this right here. We're taking a rocket ship. We're going straight to the moon. We're going on this bright side. Why is it that when they land on it, it's not bright? Anybody have an answer on that one?
Tommy says because there's nothing for the light to reflect off.
But then how is it reflecting from our perspective that we see it reflecting? Like when we look at the moon, we see the light reflected. What unless is there something in between the moon and the in between us and the moon that could be reflecting? Let's agree the photos are not real. You know what? That's the whole point. NASA's photos are all CGI, but I don't want to get into that. So yeah, who switched the lights off? No? We agreed on
we
that.
just covered that.
What
He just showed up and he missed the whole flag. And why is it flying if there's no wind on the moon?
Oh, he missed that?
Yeah, he just got back.
Oh, yeah, we were talking about that, and we were talking about the shadows and stuff like that. Maybe they blew,
Maybe they blew a fuse. Oh,
they blew a fuse. All right, so that's a question. Let's see another question I have. Let's see what other questions I have. All right, we talked about the annual budget.
that's what
I
said,
just
too.
want to know, where is all that money going to? But this is because it goes all the way from 1915 all the way to 2021. They don't go after, so I have no idea what the current budget is. Okay.
Yeah,
so
I have no idea what the current budget is. See, and Tommy just said too that he believes that we've been to the moon, just not when they said we were at the moon, because it was a race against Russia.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. Okay, we went through this. All right, so these are some memes. I just thought that was funny. So, according to the 1969 moon landing, this is a famous photo of this top portion where you're on the moon. You're looking out to the earth, and if you notice, there's no stars. There should be stars, and you love how it's a perfectly like clear picture of the earth. Like you would think, like when you're snapping a picture, because the earth is supposedly rotating so fast, you think it might be a little cloudy, but that's a perfectly still photo of the earth. How is it that this is also a picture of the moon and the earth when the Discover satellite from 2015 took a picture of the moon and earth? Can anybody see an issue with these two pictures? And these are both NASA pictures.
I don't know.
So in other words, if you're standing on the moon and you're looking out, you're going to see this tiny little thing of the earth. But if you're behind the moon and you're looking at this, according to the satellite, that's what, so the sizes are not making sense at all. That's what they're trying to prove. They're trying to say that, wait, this does not make sense. Like if you were standing on here, look how big the earth is compared to you standing on here, and it's just this tiny little, that's what they're trying to say. So that's one thing of interest. Second thing of interest is this, and this is a good question for, well, actually, no, because you were so far away, so that wouldn't be the case. But fire does not cast shadows. And you could do this numerous times. It's an amazing little thing. Because fire is its own life source, it will not cast a shadow. And you could do this with different forms of fire. So how is it if fire doesn't cast a shadow, when they send the rockets up, that there is a fire shadow in the videos at SpaceX? It seems the graphics department forgot to know that you can't see shadows.
I don't know.
Because they're all fake. Now, the question with you, Des, well, no, this is going to blow your mind, Des. The next one is, because remember I said to you earlier, because you said to me, I forgot who you said sent you the pictures of the moon, and look at the craters.
My mom.
Your mom, okay. Your mom sent you pictures of the moon. Look at the craters. And I said to you, I says, are they actually craters? So the reason I said to you is, here's an interesting phenomenon, and let's see if somebody could explain this. Why is it that the moon's craters always take the color from whatever is behind it? So in other words, and I know people have seen this in the sky when you have the moon out during the day. How is it that, okay, you could see blue, which is matching the blue here, but you can't see like an outline of the rest of the moon here because of the dark portion of it? How is it that you see here it's black, you see the craters as black? So why does it always take the color of whatever's behind it?
I don't know.
Now, Apple Martini says because it's translucent. That is a theory that the moon is actually not a ball at all, or a planet, or a big rock, or anything like that. There are theories going around that it's nothing more than a projection and a translucent see-through. That's why they're saying, they also say that those craters that you see actually are the reflections of the land masses down on Earth. So in other words, if you were to take our Earth and reflect it on a big mirror, the land masses are what those craters are, which makes a very, very interesting argument. But
I'm looking up at the moon now.
okay. Now, is it still light out or is it dark out?
No, it's still light out.
Okay, so does it appear like there's like a bluish hint to the spaces in between the, like the holes, and like, does it match the sky behind it?
Okay, hold on. Let me see here.
Oh, she's going to show us if we can see it. I don't know if we'll be, it's too far away. Or maybe you can get into it. Yeah, it
No.
looks like, you can't. Yeah, we won't be able to see it.
Yeah, it doesn't want to work.
All right, we tried. But from your perspective, looking at it, what color are the craters?
I don't know. What color are the craters? You're asking a color change
I'm sorry.
blind person. Tommy says they're like a gray.
They're gray. Now, are those the same color of the craters at nighttime? Like the same, or is it like, does it appear to be the color of whatever would be behind it, or not really? Or I don't know.
Tommy's like, I don't know.
He's like, I don't know. He doesn't want to answer this question. He's like, I don't want to be, this girl's crazy. She's not making any sense. No. All right. So that's the question about the moon. I'm going to leave this here. And if anybody wants to take notes, now's the time to take notes. If you want to go on multiple rabbit holes that all lead to the same question, these are all your rabbit holes that you need to look at. Not only look at them individually, but look at them as a whole. And I present all of these. So in 1946, you have Operation High Jump. That was the discovery of the Antarctic ice wall. Okay, so basically 1946, they discovered an ice wall in Antarctica, big ice wall. 1955, Operation Deep Freeze, they discovered the firmament. Now, for those of you who said, oh, I don't believe in the firmament, up until 1958, encyclopedias talked about the firmament in their encyclopedia in Antarctica. So you can even pull out a 1958 and earlier edition of your encyclopedia, and it will talk about the firmament. So 1955 Operation Deep Freeze is they confirm the firmament from Antarctica. NASA is founded in 1958. And for those of you who just like comedy, not a space agency. NASA, not a space agency. That's like the firmament is the Van Allen belt. So the Van Allen, hey, I'm not doing flat Earth. I didn't even talk about flat Earth yet. All I'm talking about are these are actual military operations. Read each one up. It's amazing. And then you get into this own little rabbit hole. But what I'm throwing out are facts. These are actual real facts. It's up to you to make your own determination of what the facts I'm giving you determine. So NASA is founded in 1958. The firmament is the Van Allen belt. The Van Allen belt, all that radiation, which we didn't even talk about that, is how did they get through the Van Allen belt to get to the moon through all that radiation? But we didn't talk about that. So the next thing is, whoops, no, don't go big. Okay, next one is the Antarctic Treaty in 1959. You have all these countries, and they are the top countries, all agreeing that we have to have an Antarctic treaty that basically nobody is going down there. You cannot explore. You cannot do anything. If you even try to go down to Antarctica, other than the cruise ships that they have a specific path, you will be shot and escorted away from the area if because it will be a threat to. It's an act of war if you try to cross the parallel, the 60 parallel. So that is the Antarctic one, and then the next one. We've got Operation Fishbowl, which is bombing the firmament. They're like, why not? Let's start throwing nukes straight to up in the sky. So they start nuking the sky to see if they can get through the firmament. And then finally, you have the Apollo 11 mission that says, hey, we are going to go to the moon and we're going to land on moon. And that was believed to be the hoax to hide the fact that there's a firmament over us and that we cannot go past the firmament. That was a rant. Any comments, questions, thoughts? That was a complete rant.
No.
No. You're like, I'm not touching this one. But like I said, if you look at the timeline, you look at the different ones, you can examine each and every one of these projects. And like I said, they are real science projects. They are real military missions. Depending on what you believe will determine how far, like, you know what I mean? Do you believe what mainstream media is saying, or are you believing where all these steps happen and maybe
I'm
it might
very
be
leery on the mainstream media and what they report.
okay? And Spirit, that's fine. Like I said, she said, I had access to many different maps as a teenager. I saw many discrepancies, but I'm still not buying the firmament. Flat Earth, no, which is fine. But you okay, so you understand the points of some of those missions. And with the missions, maybe this also proves a spherical Earth. All I'm saying is the military had these various missions, and it's very interesting as to what came about and what started developing past these missions. And even the whole thing with NASA, I mean, I teased and say NASA, not a space agency. Also, NASA in Hebrew means to deceive. The word NASA. So that's kind of funny. Let's see what else I have. Oh, okay, here's a good one. This is for all our cell phone buffs. Okay, you ready for this? According to the public record, any photo that they take of Earth should have at least one of these 13 to 17,000 satellites in it. So the question is, why is it every time we take a picture of the Earth, we can't see satellites? I don't see how my life would be different either way. Can you explain? Is it just a distrust of authority, for lack of a better word? Honestly, from an everyday perspective, whether the Earth is flat or round doesn't make a difference. I mean, you're right. Whether confirming the Earth is flat or round will not make any difference in my personal life. However, on the grand scale of things, if they're lying about something as far as the shape of the Earth, what else are they lying about? How much do what we know, do we really know? So that's how I look at it. But as far as what's the real story, I feel we're never going to know the real story. I don't think any of these shows that I do will ever have an answer, a real answer. I think everything is just speculation. It's just thought. It's just whatever.
Right. Yeah. Just discuss it, and what people decide on how they feel is perfectly fine on how they feel. You know, we just bring light to a little bit of this and a little bit of that and share with people what we have found that other people have said. And, I think her computer is about to die.
I didn't realize I didn't have my plug in this entire time. And I just got the message that said I'm about to shut down. I'm like, oh no. It's plugged in now. I was wondering too about the satellites and viewing. But I could see the space station with the telescope. Okay. I don't know if anybody has the new Samsung Galaxy, whatever the newest Samsung model came out. They're saying that there is a very, very interesting phenomenon happening. And this might go with your telescope issue. If you were to take a black piece of paper and have a white circle on the black piece of paper, and then you hold up that paper, and then take your camera, your video, and start zooming in to that white piece of paper that's nothing more than a white, something interesting is supposed to happen on these cameras, and that is the white piece of paper automatically turns into the moon. So through AI technology, the camera is glitching and having this error that it is thinking that that white circle that you put on a black piece of paper is you taking a picture of the moon. So when you zoom in on it, it's putting the moon on. And they're saying that AI is manipulating the program in the cameras so that when you take pictures, you'll see things within the pictures, such as craters. Now, I don't know how true this is. This is something that was being discussed. I don't have that expensive phone or anything like that, but this is something that they're saying. Obviously, I listen to TikTok and all that stuff. And the question is, I would love if anybody actually had one of the newer models of the Samsung and they zoom in, would that image turn into the moon? Because then that causes a very, very interesting thing that if you're photographing something, because a lot of people, what you said, when they look at the, excuse me, when they take a picture, they do pick up the space station when it's like behind the moon or behind the sun or something like that. They'll actually see the space station. How come people can't see all the satellites through their telescopes when they're looking on a normal everyday night? You know what I mean? That's the question. So that's why this meme is so funny, because
I know. Well, and I know too that now that they've released the AI stuff, they have the pictures, they have the chat, they have this and that, anything that has to do with AI, things are going to be harder to prove that it's not AI than it is AI. My mom, the photos that I had sent you of the moon that my mom had taken, she did it on a camera. She didn't do it on a phone. This is a high-end camera that my dad bought her for Christmas. And so the pictures are like absolutely gorgeous. And my mom actually wanted to be an astronaut when she was a kid, but when she was a kid, women were not astronauts. They weren't allowed to be an astronaut.
Exactly.
And so, but that was one of my mom's dreams, was to be an astronaut. So she's always had this thing for the moon. And so since she's got this camera, she actually takes a picture of the full moon every month. And she's been doing it. Did she get that camera last year or the year before? Last year? Yeah, so since Christmas of last year. Christmas of last year. And so she loves her camera. She takes pictures of things and gets really close. She actually has a picture that she sent me of, she took a picture of an airplane high up in the sky, and you can read parts of the letters on the plane.
Right.
So when it comes to doing stuff with your phone, because it's automatically incorporated the AI stuff, it's going to be questionable. If you take it with a regular camera, which most people don't have anymore, I would think that would be more of a tendency to believe over a phone picture nowadays. If that makes sense.
No, it does make sense. And just two things were brought up that I just want to
Yeah, I can't
Okay.
see chat, so
Oh, okay. Spirit writes in, I would love to go to an observatory. Very
oh,
interesting thing. I have to look this up. I don't remember the name of it, but the observatory in, I believe, Arizona, which is the famous one that has the huge telescope and all that other, or maybe California. I don't know. A fun fact: it's the largest observatory in the United States, and it is owned by Vatican City. So that's just a little fun fact that our biggest astronomical observatory in the country is owned by none other than the Vatican. So if anybody
oh
wants
boy.
to know that's oh, speaking of which I forgot to look up, Vatican, and this was yesterday, and I wanted to see the press result, but because of the time, I didn't get a chance to follow up with it today. But they were making a public announcement in the Vatican, which is supposed to warn people against seeing supernatural apparitions such as demons, angels, and Jesus Christ. Now you laugh at that. I mean, I'm laughing at that. I'm not laughing at that, but it's very interesting why now all of a sudden the Vatican is coming out with protocols on how to interact with supernatural beings. So I
But they
wanted,
said they weren't real.
well, that's just it. Why, and that's why I wanted to catch up and follow up on what the official public release was, because they are preparing people. There's the whole idea of Project Bluebeam going on right now, where they're saying that the government is doing a big psyop where they're going to try to make a religious manifestation, which is going to try to get the people all together under one New World Order. So by doing that, they're going to manipulate the people through religion. So
Oh boy, that ain't gonna go far. There's too many people that are not religious.
correct, but if you start seeing angels and demons and all this other stuff coming out, and you start seeing aliens and stuff like that, maybe, who knows? Maybe it might change a lot of non-believers.
Maybe.
There's a lot of potential mind games. Yes, exactly. So that was the first thing you said. Oh, Valerie said, "Mommy said you can't trust anybody." What
Right?
is the ratio between plane? You know something? That's a very interesting question, Spirit, because I could bring up the daily flight patterns, and it's going to look exactly as messy as it does here. Like the whole United States is covered with planes when you look at the flight logs on how they go on a daily basis. So the question is, with that many satellites up in the air, that many airplanes, how come you rarely see so many things? I mean, I know on an average day, maybe I'll be lucky if I see 4 airplanes. I know I'm not looking at the sky the whole time, but you know what I mean? It's like I don't see that many airplanes all over the place, if that makes any sense. I don't know.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is something else? Okay. Okay. This is photography questions. Oh, and I lost my photo. Where'd my photo go?
Well.
Okay, that photo was the one of the Earth. Yeah, I don't know where the photo went, but my question is, okay. So supposedly, and I mentioned this above, the Earth is spinning. How fast did we say this? I'll get the exact answer. Which one was it? Fuck. Looking for the one with the Earth spinning. Okay, I lost a complete one about the Earth spinning. Okay, anyway, my question is, how is it that back in 1964 we can get such clear photos of a man standing on the moon taking pictures of the Earth without it being like spinning? How do we get it that it looks like it's completely a still frame? Now, the question is, okay, you could say shutter speed. You could say that the moon is going at the same speed as the Earth is spinning. You could say, but it doesn't make sense to me. Like if the moon is moving, if the Earth is moving, if both of them are moving, and it's being drawn in the sun, which the sun is moving and the galaxy is moving, how is it that you don't see the blur of it moving so fast? So that's question number one. How do we get clear photos if the Earth is spinning so quickly? The next question is, Why are they now saying that the Earth is pear-shaped, but yet in every single NASA photo, you still have a perfectly round ball? Oh, Spirit, I should do that. Make sure to cut these little things and put it everywhere. And maybe I'll start doing, because right now I've been doing puppy videos to try to drive my views up. And
We have a train right now, so I have to be on mute.
oh, okay, that's why you're muted. Okay, I wasn't too sure. I was gonna be like, you're muted, but that's okay. It's gone.
Yeah, it was really loud and it gets obnoxious, so I don't want it to like hurt anybody's ears if they got earbuds in or something.
Yeah. But Neil deGrasse, very interesting guy. If you like astronomy and you want to learn about astronomy and physics and all that stuff, watch Neil deGrasse. I mean, I like watching him. I also think he's full of shit, but I gotta wash my mouth. I also think but seriously, he's a very, very interesting guy, and he explains things in down-to-earth, understandable ways. One of the things that he's promoting is that the Earth is pear-shaped, that the North, and this is exactly what he talks about. He talks about how the North Pole and it flares out on the South Pole. So why is it that you have your number one astrophysicist, astronomy guy, is saying that the Earth is pear-shaped, yet with all of the NASA's photographs that are coming out on the Earth, how do we get a perfectly round ball? Apple says she agrees on this, but it's true. I have yet to see. Oh, he's. I know. I shouldn't have said anything. Like I said, if anything happens to me after these shows, then you guys know that I hit something on the nail. So if I'm gonna just say that if anything ever happens to me, then you know that what I'm speaking is the truth, and they were trying to quiet me down. But remember, this is entertainment purposes only. Okay, so yeah, why is it that Polaris, which is also the North Star, why is that a stationary star, but every single other star and celestial body circles around us? Why is that the case? And we learned that from the Georgia Guidestones. I don't know if anybody remembers the Georgia Guidestones, which eventually it's going to be erased from history because they've already destroyed it. Now they got to wait for like the news articles to start slowly disappearing. So this way nobody will know what the Georgia Guidestones are. But one of the things that the Georgia Guidestones is you could stand in it, look directly through it, and for 24/7, every single day of the year, you will see that Polaris is completely stationary in the sky, that it never moved. So why is that the only star and only place out of everything that doesn't move? Spirit says, I think it's a focused and blur perception without a power enough viewing lens, like a microscope. Or you know something? I'm going to throw another interesting phenomenon. There are videos of like a helicopter taking off, but it looks like the propellers are not moving at all, simply because the shutter speed is the same time in line with the rotation. So when you look at the helicopter, it literally looks like it's just floating up, not even moving. And that's simply because I'm defending you on that, but to me, it still doesn't make sense with how fast they're saying that they're moving. Because if the Earth is moving 67,000 miles, how is the rocket able to catch up to that movement? Because that's what they're saying. It's 67,000 miles per hour moving towards the sun. So how is it that they got their little rocket on the moon and now they're trying to go back to the Earth? How are they making that 67,000 difference and catching up to when the rocket doesn't even go that fast? So that's another question using their own mathematical logic. They're telling us that the Earth is following at X amount of speed. My question is, if you leave the moon, how are you getting and catching up to the Earth going that fast? I'm just curious. If somebody can answer that would be great. And then how were the astronauts able to handle the pressure of the rockets going 40,000 miles per hour. They could barely handle it when they're here on Earth with going 1,500 miles an hour. So how are they able to do 40,000 miles an hour if they can't even do 15? So, hi, my jewelry addiction. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
So, pretty much. Oh, is that your name, Tanya? Hi, Tanya. Okay, so pretty much, I think, let me just see if there's anything else. We talked about the rocket launchers. If anybody wants to do something for fun, I'm just going to show this slide real quick. This right here, which literally looks like something out of 1970s Galactica. I mean, come on, that looks like a pixelated spaceship. That is the recent India moon landing, because India decided to send their rockets off and land on the dark side of the moon. So this is what happens when a country lands on the dark side of the moon. And it glows like a green pixelated video game. I'm not smart enough to understand why we can't see galaxies in observatories, but can't see some of the crazy data we saw from the Hubble in the planets. Absolutely. It does look like a transformer. It absolutely does. All right, guys. So we're going to wrap it up here. We're actually coming up to 2 hours. I can't believe it. And I wasn't expected to go this long. So this was an interesting topic. The only thing I'm going to leave with before we literally get going. Oh, and look, it's already, the sun is down by you. Is I'm not saying that anything is right or wrong. I always say that you need to just question everything. Just question everything. I mean, make it make sense. Maybe there's an answer. Maybe there'll never be an answer. I don't know. But I respect everybody's views if they have a different view than I do. I know what I may sound like crazy and outlandish or anything like that. But the point is, this is where we learn together. We share each other's thoughts, and we find out in an interesting way why we come up to the questions that we've come up with. So...
And it's good to learn. It really is good to learn, and it's good to hear other people's opinions. And that's what we like to do, share everybody's opinions that we've come across.
But if anybody wants to do further research, definitely check into each one of those little operations that I talked about, because you'll be going down rabbit holes just like that. And aside from that, I want everybody just to have a good time, ask questions. If there's something that doesn't make sense, we would love to hear it. Put it in the comment section, because you know something, we're going to be doing other shows. Now, next week, our show is going to be on Myths and Legends, right? It should be Myths and Legends. Unicorns.
Myth and Legends on the 23rd, May 30th, mythological creatures. June 6th, we're going to talk about the Mothman prophecies. June 13th, paranormal equipment. And I do still need to reach out to my friend. Hopefully she'll have some time to come on and talk about the equipment that they use. And then June 20th, birthdays, history, and then it's also Mel's birthday. June 27th, haunted houses. And if I can get the same friend that I have that can come on for the equipment, I'd like for her to come on and talk about some of the things that she has seen in her paranormal investigations. And then we will be taking off July 4th.
Yes, we need a holiday. Now, Apple says take a gummy after a show. Apple, that is so my plan. It really is. That's my plan.
Now I'm taking a pain pill and going to bed.
Spirit says, I respect your opinion, but I think the majority of our questions are beyond our... And I absolutely agree. And that's why I like to look at different views to see where I can find these answers, who has the answers and stuff like that. But Deborah Does Hauntings teaches it? Okay, so that's something. Deborah Does Hauntings. So that's something to look up. So everybody, have a great day. We will be back next week. And as always, keep smiling, stay safe, and we will see you soon. Lots of
love.